Welcome to the week ahead reading for August 17th through 23rd. Today we're going to be using cards from the Moon deck and the Moonchild Tarot deck. The first visual I'm seeing is a cold splash of water to the face. Is it a shock to the system or refreshing? Maybe a little bit of both. I keep seeing emphasis on the fact that it's really cold, meaning that is out of season or unexpected. Looking at our first card from the Moon deck, we have Breathe. The rhythm of my breath directs the rhythm of my life. I like this as a pairing because what's typically our response? Oh my gosh, I just got splashed with a bunch of freezing cold water. We're going to return to our breath to self-regulate. And also, even the visual here, if the air was cold, then you're going to see your breath. So I think it's kind of a cool combo. The idea of the rhythm, the pacing of life, like even the messaging that came through around the water being something that was like out of season, like out of cycle, something that we're not just that we're not expecting at all, but that we would expect to happen at other times of the year. We can use breath work to self-regulate, and I'm getting brought back to, let's say you were immersed in cold water, like this was a cold plunge or something. What's going to be happening? Your heart rate, your breath, like those are going to be areas of focus and slowing. So when we're talking about the rhythm here, it does signal that even though this thing is unexpected and we might be activated, we're looking to not just level out, but still move and flow slower. Like the response is not to be reactionary. It's to almost go in the opposite direction, not denying that it exists or that it is happening, but it's like a counterweight. So we're having a huge counterbalance. We have this thing that's in so many ways not what really even makes sense to be happening right now. And so we're going to do the also unexpected reaction, which is take it so slowly, so carefully, thoughtfully, intentionally. So much so that to others it may seem that we're dragging our feet, but we're doing it on purpose. We're drawing, it's like we're drawing that breath out. We're holding after the inhale before we get into the really slow release, and that there is a huge benefit to doing that. From the same deck, we have the Clarity card. I welcome clear vision and inspired action. So this is interesting because we were being intentionally slow to act. And it seems like the message we're getting here is when we're taking that really sacred pause, the exaggerated slow breath, shifting the rhythm of our response, we'll have the clarity, the foresight to be able to take an actually appropriate action versus the impulsive reaction. As far as the timing here for these events transpiring, it's coming across like there's a huge amount of variability. When does the unexpected thing come up? It could be any day. It seems like the absolute latest it would happen is 3 days before the end of the week. So that's Sunday, Saturday, Friday. So for the majority of people, it's going to happen anytime between Monday and Thursday. But then that breath, that elongated breath, the period of not hesitation, but waiting, intentional waiting before moving forward would very quickly follow. And again, that is a choice. We're choosing to have that response versus reaction. And that brings us to what's going to happen in the remainder of the week, however many of those days we have left. It could be, if this happens at the beginning of the week, it could be that the bulk of the week is our final card, or it's just the last few days. So from the Moonchild Tarot deck, we have the King of Pentacles. Very interesting. This is a card of abundance. The King is the highest value card in tarot. And Pentacles, this is the earth sign. When we have abundance, it's like, this is kind of nice. So We're shifting our rhythm, we're shifting our pacing. We're waiting, we're calm, we're grounded. And then when we are able to take a step forward, we receive more than if we had rushed through the process. As far as the analysis goes, we have breath. I'll classify this as an air element, inspired action, fire, and then we have pentacles, which is earth. So we have 3 of the 4 main elements here. I do also think it is interesting just visually that in all 3 of the cards, we have somebody in profile and they're all facing the same direction. Just a tiny note, something that stuck out. When we're looking at the astrology for the week, nothing super intense, which I think kind of works well with this really slow, it's almost like a resistance band type energy where you don't just want to let it go and have it snap back into place. You want to, stretch and then slowly return to form and then get out. That is how we are approaching this entire week. And to bring it back to the astrology, what we have is on Monday, the moon starts off in Libra and around 6 p.m. Eastern time goes into Scorpio. It's going to remain there for a few days. That gives us the water element that we're missing here. So we're starting off the week in a more intuitive, intense, emotional framework. Hence the reason, connecting to our breath, trying to it's not that we're not being intense, but we're trying to channel that emotional activity and energy. Then we get to Thursday, where around 4:30 a.m., the moon moves into Sagittarius. Now we're more in the fire area. So this kind of syncs up as well. The combination of Scorpio and Sagittarius, in my mind, I always frame as very thoughtful, very inquisitive, looking to understand, but through different lenses. For Scorpio, it's like, what is the truth? What are the secrets? What's the underbelly? And for Sagittarius, it's like looking up and out versus down and in the depths. Sagittarius is wondering, how do things work? How are we all connected? What does this mean? What does that mean? What are my beliefs? So it's way bigger picture in scope. And when we know what our beliefs are, we can be clear on where we want to go next. So I think even in that pause, the resistance band pause that we are taking with our breath, we're going to remember in the tension what's most important. What do we believe in that will help us to move forward? Then on Saturday, we have the moon going into Capricorn. This is around 5 p.m. Eastern time. Coming up with structure. This is Earth sign energy. So we have a nice pairing with 2 of the 3 cards matching what's going on with the moon transit. 4.5 hours later, we have the start of Virgo season, another Earth sign. So we have the moon in an Earth sign and the sun in an Earth sign. We're looking to always be better for Virgo, to be ambitious for Capricorn. So there's this feeling of growth, and we can grow more easily when we are connected to an abundance mindset, when we're borrowing a little bit of optimism from Sagittarius versus the weightiness that can come from Capricorn and Virgo, who are just going to try really hard. I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard. Sometimes we need to let things go and flow. I have my bi-monthly mini natal chart reading class on August 21st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I hop on for an hour and go through any astrology questions that people have, as well as review a few charts from students. So if you'd like an opportunity to learn or have your chart read, then definitely sign up. If you want more of an in-depth direct reading, I have a lot of different astrology offerings. I have my initial trio, which looks at a general overview of your chart, the basics, the planets and their placements in the signs, and then the planetary aspects. So you can get all three together. You can start wherever you want in that cycle based on your existing experience. And then I also have other astrology readings as well if you want to take it to the next level. On the 26th is my, can you believe it already, September 2026 Astro Weather Report. If you haven't seen the August ones, I have 2 videos. Definitely watch the eclipse one. Watch the eclipse one. At the point of this coming out, we've already had our first eclipse, but the second one is upcoming. We're still right in the middle of eclipse season. So great time as any to watch. Plus, the 2 videos also capture other transits and events that are happening. So you want to check those out too. For that September Astro Weather Report class, we will be convening at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the 26th and talking about the themes, the narrative for next month. So I hope to see you at any of my classes. Feel free to check out my entire class schedule for August and September. And if you would like to book a psychic reading with me or an astrology reading with me, just head to my website and you can get those details.